So welcome everybody. We'll do introductions. I'm Clancy Black, TMAC Chair.
Joy McMurray, TMAC Vice Chair.
And then virtually we've got Laurie Archiaga, welcome Laurie, and Mitsu Saito, both members of TMAC. And also welcome David Harding, our council representative. Thanks for being here. And then do you all, and hi, Jim's here. Welcome, Jim. And then there's some new faces, I think. So do you guys want to introduce yourself around the table here? Start with Rob.
Yeah, so I'm Rob Hunter. You can't see me on the camera. Rob Hunter, transportation engineer from Public Works.
Clark Pixton, I volunteer with Bike Walk Provo.
Oh, welcome, Clark.
Thanks. Hannah Salzel, I'm just staff helping run it.
Hannah or Anna?
Hannah, with an H. Yeah.
H, okay.
And Melissa McNally, also planning staff.
Welcome everybody, and it looks like we've got a few people on the call as well. Thanks for being here. We have our agenda. Can you pull that up?
You got it? Okay,
So first, looks like we've got our Bike Walk Provo presentation. I assume that's you, Clark.
Yep.
And then are you sharing something that will?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got some slides.
And then give me an idea how long you're thinking.
15 to 20.
Okay, that'll be perfect. And then we'll go through our Center Street stuff after that.
I'm just on the screen real fast.
Anyway, we'll set us up. Okay, time to you, Clark. Thanks for being here.
You just get that screen shared and just tell me when to go to the next slide.
Okay. Do you mind if I switch your spots? And then I can just click for the
I would love
presentation.
that.
Okay.
I love that very much.
Perfect.
Okay, we're sharing. Everybody can see the slides okay. So I am Clark Pixton. This go around, I've been a resident of Provo for about 3 years. I live in West Provo, right off Geneva Road. Started volunteering with Bike Walk Provo in the spring and wanted to share with you. So actually we did a presentation kind of like this at our Bike Walk Provo June meeting, and Robert Mills was there and asked that I share with you as well. So what we've been looking at is a before and after study of Cougar Boulevard. As we're all well aware, there were some significant improvements that were put in that are actually, let's see. Not presenting. Okay, there we go. Improvements that were put in a couple of years ago. Main ones were medians in the middle of the road and the nice protected bike lanes. With this being such a major overhaul, you know, there's a lot of residents who are interested in what was the effect. So we are working on gathering some data around a couple of different effects. So let me explain. So first of all, just some background. This is from the City of Provo, the Mayor's Office website about this project. So the reason for the improvements that's cited is a severe crash rate that's 7.5 times higher than the statewide average for similar roadways. And there's also a significant number of bicycle crashes because of a lack of adequate bicycle facilities. So safety is the #1 driver for these improvements. So the question is the road safer? So the expected effects here would be that safety would increase. Another effect is when safety increases, you hope to see more usage on foot or on bicycle, especially as this corridor connects to BYU. We've got a lot of students who use active transportation. So I'm going to talk about both of these. The usage data is still largely coming in, so that's going to be short, and I'll start there. So Rob, this is pulling off of the sensor that you guys put in. There's a sensor on 3rd West that's looking at how many folks are coming through that bike lane. And just to give you an idea of the volume for this, we don't have, this isn't pedestrians, right? It's just just bikes and scooters that are going through the.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just to give you an idea, since April 1st of this year, we've had about 330 trips per week. And there's a great site online where you can dig into that more. This is likely an underestimate just because there's pedestrians using the sidewalks as well who are receiving significant safety benefits just because of the traffic calming and the added buffer between them and the big lanes of traffic.
Is that just one, sorry, one side?
That's both.
One side or both sides?
That's both sides.
Okay.
The sensor ends up picking up like 3 to 4 times more going one way than the other. I don't know. Is that what you've seen?
Yeah, because so we have it at Third West. Third West is also we've just finished a few weeks ago finishing all the markings for it, but that is a significant way that people come up on through bikes, and so there is a lot more coming from the east and coming from the west, which could make sense because a lot of people are coming up through Third West.
Yeah, so punchline here is this is being used. We're in the process. We have a little bit of before data, and you guys may have better data, but we are going to be gathering in the fall and the spring some better after data where we go out and count pedestrians as well. And so this usage story is unfolding, but the improvements certainly are being used. Yeah, and that's this slide is talking about ongoing work. Just to kind of set the stage here, as a reminder, one thing about usage is, as more and more of the active transportation plan that we have in the Provo Transportation Master Plan gets implemented, usage even on the existing streets like Cougar Boulevard is likely going to increase. Just an example from the Walkable City Rules book here. If you have non-contiguous blocks of bike lanes, that's great, but if you put in a network that's extensive where people can get where they need to go, then cycling can increase hugely. So as we look at improving intersections and streets around Cougar Boulevard, usage will likely increase. That's the usage piece. The bigger piece is the safety analysis. So I'm going to start just with a couple of anecdotes. One is from the Mayor's Bike Walk Roll event that happened. This is from Facebook, so it wasn't actually last week, but recently. There's a smaller Provo resident who was, participating and turned on to the Cougar Boulevard protected bike lanes and said, "This is a perfect little spot," which would never have happened before those improvements. Right? So, in terms of the feeling of security, which is a little harder to measure from counts, there's at least anecdotal evidence that this is making a difference in the quality of life of residents as they choose whether or not to use Cougar Boulevard for their transportation needs, and how they feel as they use it. Another example is we have our tour coordinator at Bike Walk Provo was practicing before he took folks on a tour of Provo and took his wife on a tour, and she was very nervous at first about the idea of riding on Cougar Boulevard. But once they got there and were riding in those protected bike lanes, she felt really safe and secure, very comfortable. And I've ridden these lanes as well and really appreciate and enjoy that experience as compared to how it was before the improvements. In addition to that, we also do have some data. So what we've looked at so far are traffic incidents, crashes on the Cougar Boulevard strip, and we've pulled some comparable periods. November 2016 through May of 2018, and we're comparing that to November 2019 through May of 2021, looking at how many traffic incidents and how many crashes happened before and after. So just kind of a big picture, there is a 40% reduction in reported traffic accidents. And that's in line with also the serious accidents where there was an injury or over $1,500 in damage is a 37% reduction there. So from serious accidents, we have gone from 137, which is about 7 per month, down to less than 5 per month. So To the extent that this is due to the improvements, that's a great use, I think, of our money towards infrastructure.
I'll make an observation.
Yeah, go for it.
Generally, I would agree with that conclusion. However, you look at the period, the second period that you're using to compare to the first, it was during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, where traffic is, I think by all accounts, reduced. People are more limited in their comings and goings, I think.
Yes.
So it'd be interesting to see as we move forward whether we continue to see a reduction to the baseline as opposed to simply concluding we have a near 40% reduction.
So it's not so right. So 40%. Yeah, let me show a few more slides. That's a great observation, and thank you for bringing that up. Before we get into I think this week I saw a comic, kind of a nerdy comic that said, every data table from now on is going to have an asterisk on the year 2020, right? Because it was been. So the punchline at the very end of this is basically this is an unfolding story still, and I hope to be back here in a year talking with you again as cross our fingers the COVID effects fade into the background because we'll have better data then. I'll show you what we've done so far. But first, let me zoom in a little on biking and walking, since biking in particular was mentioned in the purpose statement for this improvement. There were 6 total reported accidents before this included a fatality. I don't remember if it was in the, it was at least very close to the time period that we took the data from. So I don't remember whether it's in those 6 or very adjacent to it. Afterwards, there were only 3. Interestingly, they've all been in February through March of this year, and I will investigate that further. I'm not sure why that is. So yeah, just to show you kind of the biking and walking.
To your comment, Jim, this actually, I think, is very encouraging because all data shows that biking and walking was up significantly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and so there were 0 during most of the pandemic shutdowns when biking. So that's it's very encouraging. Right, so here we go. So there's a big possible alternate cause, which is that the after period coincides with the COVID-19 shutdowns. So what we have done so far, and this is again not the full story, is we've looked at the 300 South strip from 5th West over to 7th East. It's a similar sized road. It has some differences. It has some on-street parking rather than the protected bike lanes, and it's less of a student center, but we think it's at least arguably comparable. And what we do find is exactly what you said, which is there's a reduction everywhere in Provo. We've looked a little bit at Provo big picture. We've also looked here. So now, without doing any variation analysis or statistics, if you just take the 40% and the 35, maybe it's a 5% reduction, right, of total accidents. Serious accidents, similar, although again, the difference is bigger here. And we have done some more formal statistical analysis, and the confidence intervals overlap a bit, so there's uncertainty here about how much is COVID versus how much is the improvements. Again, that's why I hope to be back in a year with more data to share with you. But what it looks like based on the analysis so far is that there's a reduction from COVID, and then on top of that, there is a reduction from that, from the improvement. Biking and walking is, again, kind of the best place. So if you compare to 300 South, if we think there's a COVID effect going on in the city of Provo citywide, there's actually no change in the bike and walk accidents on 300 South. There were 4 before these improvements, which obviously didn't affect 300 South, and there were 4 afterwards during the pandemic as well. And then I believe we can compare also to the rest of Provo, just with biking and walking. Again, there's a 50% reduction here. Fewer accidents in all of Provo, but significantly bigger reduction on Cougar Boulevard than in the rest of Provo. So again, this is work in progress, still unfolding, especially with something this big. It's important to look over multiple years and see what the improvement looks like. But so far, there's a clear increase in bike and pedestrian safety. There's a large increase in overall transportation safety. Some of that is attributable to COVID-19, very likely, but also some of it is likely due to the safety improvements. As we collect more data post-pandemic, we can zero in a little bit more on what that percentage actually may look like and get a better guess of the percentage that you should have in your mind. There's a respectable amount of traffic from bikes, and I should also mention scooters here, right? So we've got the spin scooters back after the pandemic, and for the is it still spin?
It's Link.
It's Link now, right?
Yeah.
It's been before. The Link scooters, we get a lot of traffic on those from students and others, and they use this lane, I think, pretty extensively, these lanes. And then just kind of to wrap up some things to keep in mind, the story will continue to unfold. And then a couple of things that come from the research on active transportation. Usage will increase as the active transportation network continues to improve. Cougar Boulevard is an example of a really capital-intensive way to improve roads through active transportation infrastructure. There's also great proven, ways to do this at a lot lower cost. And Bike Walk Provo is continually working with city officials and happy to talk about those at any point.
I'd like to go back to slide number 1 where we show the data on how many people are using.
This one?
That's
Yeah. Yep.
So 6,700 trips from April 1 through about what date?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. What was the overall cost of these improvements? What was the capital cost?
I'd have to look that up. It happened before I moved over to traffic, so I don't know. I will say the overall purpose of the project was for safety. There was an increase specifically in pedestrian and bike safety, active transportation safety, but there was also a significantly higher amount of crashes, just vehicle crashes that were occurring. So the overall project was a safety. As we got into it and see what can we do, we realized, hey, something that would be an overall benefit works with the overall project and would be an overall benefit to the active transportation is to put the bike lanes in. So it wasn't the amount of money going towards the project was not specifically just to increase ridership. It was an overall safety project.
So my question really goes, and this is not, behind my question is not veiled criticism at all. It's actually intended to try to anticipate criticism down the road and see if we have answers for it. But when you say cost effective in your conclusion, how do you measure cost effectiveness? What does that mean? If you put $20 million, I don't know what this cost, say $10 million of improvements, and you get an increase in usage and a certain decrease in the number of accidents, do you look at the decrease in accidents and increase in usage on a per capita basis and say it's, compared to other projects and say, gee, it's cost effective? Or how do you, I guess my question is, how do you measure cost effectiveness of these projects? And that may be a question not so much just for this particular undertaking, but also for any undertaking in transportation or traffic management, because there are going to be people out there who say, my tax dollars are going for X.
Yep.
This is highly expensive. What are we as a community getting at? And I'd like to have some potential answer that's conclusive and persuasive for that.
Yeah.
Or you can go ahead and then I can speak a little to that too.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. One, you're right, and I think as imperfect as it is, people are going to try to measure the cost effectiveness, so we should probably have a handle on that as well. And I think it should include, like Rob mentioned, active transportation user safety, but also the overall safety of the road, and that often goes together. So Yeah, great point, and that's not part of this analysis yet. I think the message so far is it helped, but the question is then how much did it help per dollar if you can measure that at all?
You could look at the hard costs, and they're going to be tangible and intangible benefits.
Right.
And I don't know what the tangible benefits might be. Is it increase in usage, decrease in accidents, decrease in cost for first responders to act? I mean, I don't know what those factors are, but any cost-effective analysis should also, I think, try to take into account the intangible benefits, a sense of safety, a sense of community betterment, etc. And not that we're getting any, that I'm aware of, any criticism or questions about cost effectiveness, but
The last comment I'll make is when I said cost effective on the last slide, the main thing that I had in mind, so we should measure for this project for sure. The other thing that I had in mind is there are also compared. So I wasn't putting up Cougar Boulevard as an example of the perfect cost effective. What I'm saying is there are other ways that cost a lot less than the Cougar Boulevard infrastructure improvements to do the same thing. Is what I'm saying. And so, for example, if you get a lot of pushback saying that was a major overhaul that didn't give us bang for its buck. I don't know that we will get that, but if we do, then you can say, well, we can do it. It's similar things at a fraction of the cost, something like that. Sorry, go ahead.
Just through my job, I have some access to some of the data, and so I think the total cost of the entire project was about $5.5 million.
That sounds correct. But
Okay.
like I said, I wasn't part of the project.
Right, and it looks like the city's portion was maybe 1.1 million or something like that. I would guess more than half of that cost was needed anyway to take care of the pavement surface. So it wasn't actually a pedestrian improvement. Not UDOT, the FHWA and UDOT uses these methods. The safety money they contributed, they have a really robust method for predicting crash prevention, crash mitigation, and they had a forecasted benefit cost of 2.95 on the improvements, meaning the crashes prevented will return value to society of about 3 times the cost put into the project.
Right.
So
that's great.
anyway, that's what I know that.
Yeah, typically safety related cost effectiveness. If suppose this one cost 5.whatever million, if number of the fatal accident or this personal injury one that costs a lot reduced, then that's the saving in user cost. Typically, that's how engineers will do. So when DOT estimated, and they have their own what value for each fatal accident and injuries. By the way, I think DOT used the same value, about 1 million or 2 million, I forgot. So, like 37% or whatever the reduction value, and if that's converted. And if there's even one, reduction in death, fatal accidents, that's probably saves about 1 or 2 million. So 5 years, it's almost 10 million, let's say, saved. And then in 10 years, this construction cost, 5.5 million, it's already kind of paid off in a way, safety-wise. So that's why they calculated and they came up with this 2.9 cost-effective value. Being able to reduce even one fatal crash a year for, let's say, 10 years, that will in a way pay off users' cost. And it's a positive impact to the society.
That's great.
That's
So
how
even the 6 versus the 3 and no fatalities and things. In terms of money.
Reduction in fatality.
It's a hard, there are ways we can quantify this, but you can't quantify quality of life
Right.
or.
Yeah, so that you can't qualify that. But
That's-
Not exactly.
People keep trying, and we should keep trying, but it's so hard.
Yeah. But at least, Cougar Boulevard, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to drive there.
And you look at businesses, I mean, the Del Taco completely rebuilt to a new business, the gas station rebuilt to a new, I don't even know what that is, but that building.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
the business will come in a way.
Infrastructure, private industry almost always follows with further investment in the community.
Yeah. There's a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thanks, Clark.
Thank you. And these, these numbers will get more solid as time goes on, but I think, in Bike Walk Provo, we're certainly interested in this type of project, and hopefully this becomes a nice piece of a really good active transportation network that we can be proud of, and it's beautiful, and they'll be enjoying using as a community.
Yeah. Thanks, Clark.
Guys, I'll be excited to see the data as you get more of it. Because April to August, although it's a great time for biking, the BYU population is way
Yeah.
down. So I wonder how it will be more like September, October, November. what the
Yes.
numbers will do.
And I almost ran that this morning, but I ran out of time and the server didn't work. So good point.
So item 2 is our Center Street project evaluation. Hannah, do you have that spreadsheet or do one?
I have
Yeah, Kirsten's got it.
Because I think for today, we're gonna try and do the aesthetics criteria as quickly as we reasonably can. And then, if I remember right, our goal was to do that and then kind of review the list as a whole and then possibly send it to Downtown Provo before next meeting so they could look at it. Does that sound right? We were hoping Downtown Provo could come next month and talk to us. Okay.
Can I throw something in here too that just came up this week? So we met with UDOT. One of the things that we said that we were going to start immediately and had started is discussions with UDOT about retiming.
Oh, yeah.
To try to create more efficiency to be able to use the First North. And basically they've come back with some scenarios, different timing scenarios that they could do, although they caution there's really, it's all very theoretical until, it's tested out, right? And so one thing that we talked with them about, there's a couple of events that are happening on Center Street. One that's just going to be just for an afternoon, evening, west of University. That's going to close down between Freedom and University. And then there's the Latin American Festival that happens next to the county building, east of University, between University and 2nd East. And so we're going to work with them to try out some of their timing through there. And then whenever y'all think that, I don't want to bypass your thing, but one of the things that just in the general thing is testing.
That's excellent.
Yeah, well, and so there's other ways that we can test different ideas that are on here, parklets, even going down to one lane, trying different things. And I don't want to bypass that by testing before y'all feel comfortable saying you're far enough along in the thing for us to start doing it. But and we felt like that's probably something that, just like you're bringing this by Downtown Provo Inc. to bring by them too. But just wanted to throw that out there that whenever, like I said, I didn't want to bypass or your process, but
someone
we
tell
can
me
test things out
if you're on, but I think with the opportunity to do that, we should go for it for
Okay.
sure, especially with those events.
Opportunity to add more data, go for it.
Yeah.
Especially at low cost, right?
Okay.
I'll go attempt to drive that way a few times those days. See what happens.
I've been
Well-
trying to drive 100 North more often lately to
Yeah.
see what it would think.
Yeah.
So we'll start with those two events, and maybe if y'all are already planning on meeting with Downtown Provo Inc. Next meeting, maybe we'll wait. Those two events will be happening. I think one next week and one is the other is over Labor Day weekend. Then we'll meet with y'all and see which ones do we want to test out first, and then we can go immediately to testing those out. We'll start working with UDOT. The other thing too that they have suggested, and it's something that we had thought about too, that they suggested is that we up the speed limit on 100 North. There's only so much incentive you can give to get people to go down 100 North. it's not too much incentive if they're still restricted to 25 miles per hour.
Oh, is it 25?
It is 25
This
right
is
now.
a very good point.
And there's no, a lot of times, so it's pretty typical on any kind of collector road. This is, now our arterial is what we've bypassed around, Center Street is to make it our arterial. And even more so on an arterial is to go above 25. In a lot of Provo, where the kind of handicap on upping it in a lot of places, I guess the big pushback is that there's a lot of residences that face our collector roads. This is not one of them. There's not a high, amount of potential conflict. It's not a place where we have, the thought, and one of the things that y'all are working through is how we can add scooter and bike facilities to Center Street. 100 North is not intended for that.
Right.
And so our plan would be to go and, especially while we're testing these things out, is to go up the speed limit, and then we'll try out the different timings with the new speed limit.
What's the speed limit on 3rd South? Is it 35?
I believe 3rd South is 35. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, obviously there's more to it, but I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So we're looking at, we're going to go put counters out there. The last time we put them out there was 2018 on First North. The 85th was 33, 34, which is, we were thinking maybe 30. UDOT would suggest 35. We're going to go test it out again. Maybe try, what is it? If we drive 35, does that feel like the right speed to put on there? But it's between 30 and 35. We'll probably make that change within the next, we're going to go, like I said, put the counters back out there. We'll probably make that change within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then start testing what results we get by trying to encourage people to use that as their through route.
Cool. Thanks, Rob.
So, and again, I guess to clarify too, the higher speed limit would be in the downtown area, right? Not west of 5th West. And really, I don't even think we do it. We probably the furthest that we do it is probably First East, because past First East, then you start getting into the residential area. Yeah.
But you merge from 2 lanes to 1.
You're right.
Well, so there's a merging going on. We don't.
Which
looking at
naturally
40 miles
slows.
an hour.
Yeah. We do not want that. Correct.
Okay. So we're gonna charge through this like we did last week. So Laurie and Mitsu, chime in loudly anytime you want to add anything. So we're gonna try to move quickly, but we don't want to.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, thanks, Clark.
Another thing to prep for.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you.
So let's see. I got to remind myself. We're doing -2 to +2.
Yes.
Right.
And gotta get my head in the right spot here. I remember we always have debated if the impact's debatable, we've tended to 0. Because I remember we went back last time and corrected several. Is that what happened? Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's review the 5 we did before. So the criteria is contributes to the aesthetics of the destination and enhances the downtown experience. So creating leading pedestrian interval at intersections on Center Street. So I think I agree with our 0 because that helps safety, but doesn't have any real direct impact to aesthetics or.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Slow and 15 per hour paint markings on the street. We have a 1. I think that probably makes sense. Maybe I'd say maybe 1 or 0 because.
Yeah. Safety wise, you have a value, but aesthetic wise, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean the experience. If cars are slower, the experience is better.
And slow down and see the city. I mean the street.
I think we're speaking mostly about aesthetics, though, more than just general experience.
Right.
So maybe this one
This is beauty.
0.
Are we trying to get to both of those columns today?
I forgot about this last one.
Maybe we've got 2 to sit through.
Yeah, but the last one, honestly, I don't think would be terrible if we did the last one next week.
Okay.
Paint bike sharrows in the outside lanes. This is simple. the previous one, but maybe is a little bit better because it would possibly improve the experience for bicyclists. But I could see a 0 here also. Thoughts? Keep a 1 since you there.
1 is fine.
Okay,
Me.
we'll go.
Yeah. Because in a way it gives what do you call if you come through this and then if you have this green shower, what's that, paint shallows, then the people think that the city is really concerned about the safety of this bicyclist. So in a way, it gives a good impression to them, I believe.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it certainly it's not 2, but it may not be 0.
Okay, we'll keep the 1. Flashing 15 mile per hour ahead. I would agree this is
0. Yeah.
Pedestrian wall signage.
Yeah. It's all depends on the design. What kind of design you have, right? That will determine the value for aesthetic.
Yeah, so I'd say 0 or 1 on this too. Maybe a 1's okay. People see that and feel more welcome, maybe.
Yeah.
Entry arch.
Yeah.
2 on this one.
I'd probably give that a 2,
Yeah.
as long as it's a pretty arch.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one and well maintained.
Agreed. High visibility crosswalks, I think that's purely safety, so I'd say a 0 here.
That's safety.
3D
But you know something, if the crosswalk are like the blocks, colored blocks, then in a way it's beautiful. Rather than black top.
Textured brick. Well, not
Well,
brick.
it's not really brick.
Thermoplastic.
It's a thermoplastic that
looks like
brick, right?
Yeah. Those,
So that could be a 1.
Yeah, is that what we're talking about here? Sorry, high visibility crosswalk is a specific thing in the MUTC, so that's what I was thinking. But are we talking about like brick design?
Pretty crosswalks?
Pretty crosswalks?
What kind of crosswalk is high visibility?
So you're saying-
I remember intersection of Center Street and the Second West Boulevard. I think that intersection has a brick pavement. No, I forgot.
Yeah, they have a brick thermoplastic on them.
Well,
But this is different than that.
the one that's east, I think may be an older crossing that actually does have brick. All the new ones that we put in between University and Fifth West are they're the thermoplastic. It's not real brick.
Oh, okay. But
You just need to turn kids loose to paint those bricks rainbow colors, and then it'll be great.
Just for this, I want to know how we rate it.
So the high visibility. We're not just talking like the school crossing. You know,
We're talking like the brick or something.
Yeah, we're talking about brick, something
Oh,
that'll.
okay.
So that could be a 1.
And that would, I wanted to see what we rated before. Yeah, I would agree that should be a 1 then. You can hide those again. It is better.
Not
Do you
that.
do like 1 with a
We're talking
note?
about high visibility.
The high visibility.
What's the difference between the high visibility and the 3D?
The
Can you
3D
remind
is
me?
like those painted geometric things that make it look like it's jumping out of the street.
As you're approaching, it makes it look like it's up, but it's not. It's not
like
really.
those
The
optical
FHWA.
we had when we were kids.
So it's
Again,
really
we
not
just
recommended.
we just put it on there, right? We decided that we were going to give you guys every
Sorry.
recommendation that's been given, but
Melissa,
the
that's for
FHWA
row
does
12,
not
actually.
recommend.
So Melissa, I think that goes on 12, not 13, and the 1 should be on 12.
Sorry, Hannah. Yeah, so row 12 should be, that should be a 1.
There we go.
No, you were
Got
not
ahead of
there.
myself.
And then the next one, 3D crosswalks, there's novelty, but I don't think they really add to the aesthetics personally. Anyone disagree? Rough.
yeah,
So I feel like aesthetics, this doesn't really have an impact. 0.
Yeah, probably.
That's pro.
Protected lefts along detour route. So this one,
Okay.
less traffic. traffic.
That's not aesthetics.
I think it would definitely contribute to the 100 North experience for drivers.
Mhm.
Aesthetics for Center Street, possibly, if it takes cars off, but.
When we're talking protected, are you talking like a little curb?
No, just you're getting a left
green
turn
arrow,
fast.
yeah.
Facing, right?
Okay,
Yeah. Green arrow instead of a flashing yellow or just two circles.
okay. Then I'd say 0 because those curbs can be ugly depending on the situation.
Okay, are we doing 0 then? Yeah, okay. Improve lighting at mid-block crosswalk. So that's not aesthetics, but the experience, I think that does improve. And this is like,
One.
like for at night, right?
Or is it lampposts or what
Or
are,
something.
we don't know.
Yeah, and that can be decorative, so I'd give it at least a 1.
So we do have lampposts, but they're kind of further back with where they are in comparison to the vegetation. It doesn't really light
the crosswalk.
Yeah, so it'd be probably a decorative lamppost like that, I guess was our
In the middle,
thought,
mid-block.
but closer to make it, closer to give better illumination at the actual crossing.
Give that a 2, maybe even. I think lighting is really aesthetically pleasing for experience.
I'm okay with that. Okay, 2 there. RRFBs at mid-block crossings. I'm torn on this because I don't like the idea of a bunch of flashing lights downtown. I think that's contrary to what we want, but it does, it helps you feel safer, but that's not what we're rating right now. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Aesthetically, I think flashing is probably a -1.
Yeah.
I think Lori's right.
Okay, we'll do -1 there. Install variable message signs to warn drivers of upcoming slow speeds. So I don't feel the same about this one because this would not be inside downtown. It would be
Yeah.
facing out. So I'd say it's
0.
Be on the approach.
install parklets or interim sidewalk windings with movable signage. So aesthetically and experience, probably good. Are we considering?
I mean, we're putting planters in. Green is generally pretty good.
Yeah. As long as it's maintained well.
Are we a 1 or a 2 on this?
Yeah, at minimum like 1. If you put a beautiful flower there, then the number goes up.
That's right. What is going in the planners? Let's
Right.
discuss.
Yeah, what's going into the planner?
You could say 1+.
Maybe 1.
1 because experience bit. So let's go 1 here.
Mhm.
Signal and corner.
100 to west.
Aesthetically, null.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking 0.
Yeah.
Parking, protected bike lane by converting angle parking to parallel. I'm thinking on this because it would be great for cyclists and even pedestrians, but it would make it a worse experience for people to drive and park.
Okay with that.
Or does that make it a 0? I don't know.
I'd go with 0.
Well, I'm struggling with the experience comment because being able to park easily is part of your experience as a driver. That's where I'm not sure.
But
What to do
biking
with it.
easily is also part of that experience.
Right. So I feel like the impact for cyclists for this would be huge. So it's enough to make it a 1 without, if it didn't remove parking, it'd be a 2, but because it removes parking, we make it a 1, is my logic.
Can I interject something?
Yeah.
I think I've just been here for a few minutes, but I've heard you struggle with this one several times.
Thank you,
Experience.
Robert.
You're the authority here, Robert.
No, I have 0 authority anywhere here. I would just invite you to consider, like, what are you defining experience? Is that outside of a car?
Well, our other criteria talks about multiple modes, and so I'm kind of considering the whole experience.
So someone in locationally downtown, that's part of the experience and that you're trying to.
I think that's what we've been doing
Encompass.
so far.
Okay.
Should we not? Should we say it's once?
Well, I think that's
You know, I forgot what does parking protected bike lane? What is it physically?
It's a protected bike lane on the inside of parking, between parking and the sidewalk.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see.
I think
And
there's a group cover, and I don't have a perfect answer. I feel like we're considering the whole experience.
yeah.
And I think that's,
Well, I mean, to be honest, I like parallel parking better than angled parking because that's kind of dangerous.
Okay.
Come out. Yeah.
Install Hawk pedestrian signal at 400 West.
West.
So this is very similar to kind of the RFB that we did a -1.
Remind me what a hawk pedestrian signal is.
I was just Googling.
Okay, thank you.
That's the overhead where
Yeah, like
it's flashing at you. So when somebody comes and they want to cross the street, they can hit it and it's an overhead flashing. Where RFB is down, you know, signs coming up out of the ground. This is an overhead.
So I think this is maybe a 0 or -1 also.
Yeah. Aesthetic wise, yes. Probably.
Which would you like?
-1.
Mine.
I would, okay. I was going to say 0 if it's not going all the time. If it were going all the time, I'd have it in minus.
It only goes when you press it. The lights only
Right.
press the button. But I feel like for consistency, we should do the same as we did for RFB because they are very similar treatments.
Okay.
Okay, chicanes. Yeah. Oh
What
no.
would these look like in
Boulevard Street.
that area?
I know. That's how I have to think about it.
Yeah, not quite that back and forth, but. Yeah.
So I think this would hurt the experience for everybody. But it would look
They are
nice,
beautiful.
maybe. I don't know, because even as a pedestrian, if I don't know, I'm gonna stop talking and let someone else share opinion on this one. Any thoughts?
Wow.
Lori, you're decisive. What do you think?
Again, this is all depends on what's in the chicane, like a flower pot, whatever. There's a beautiful things in there. It's aesthetically beautiful, but if not taken care of, then it becomes an eyesore.
Yeah.
Like, they can be as simple as, right, I mean, this is bad, like, just little bump outs, right, rough, and the kind of.
Right.
Road, right?
Yeah.
There's just a little bit of curve there.
Right. That's the intent of a chicane, is to make you have to weave slightly back and forth to encourage you to slow down.
whenever I think of this, especially applied to Center Street, I think of already there are alternating parking areas, like some on the side, some in the middle, right? And so if you took that and just kind of followed a lane of how that kind of weaves throughout the experience, that's how I envision it.
I just feel like doing this would be contrary to the whole design that's already there and just mess everything up. So I just don't like the idea in general. But.
It would definitely be, I mean, there's a reason why it's the 4
Really
money signs.
good.
This is basically a redo the whole street type of
Yeah.
treatment, yeah.
It might actually be like a 6 sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I would put this as a minus personally, but I wouldn't blame anyone if they feel like it's +1 either. So I don't know.
Let's keep it.
Just knowing myself and driving, windy roads are more fun, but it needs to be well done. And I'm not sure that we want to spend the money to do that well.
Yeah. Okay, construct median walkway for center parking access to crosswalks. This is the idea that we're not even sure how it could be done. But if it could be done, it would make the experience better for everybody.
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely a 1. Is it big enough impact? Is it 2?
If well done, it would be a 1. It's also getting close to time when I need to go. So if you'll scroll up, I will put my votes for the rest of them in the chat and then jump out.
Okay, thanks, Laurie.
Scroll up.
Or
Scroll
down.
the Excel document.
I was confused when she said up. I was like,
Yeah, point of reference can get confusing on
Yeah.
scrolling.
Sorry, up and down mean different things to different people, but yeah, that's what I meant. So I could see.
The wheel goes down, the page goes up. So are we gonna do a 1 on the median walkway then? What do you think?
I think I would,
Okay.
At least 1.
at least.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out that the user experience is going to vary for someone with a stroller or a wheelchair or boot. It might make a much more significant impact to someone walking on foot. So
Mhm.
the user of that walkway, just putting that out there.
Haven't we put fractions in before?
Yeah,
Yes.
there are fractions.
How about 1.5?
1.5. So let it be written. Raised crosswalks at mid-lot crossing. I think this would be huge. I would give this a 2. I think it looks nice. I think it definitely adds to the ambiance.
Yeah, again, it's a design, not just a black top.
Right. Yeah.
What did Lori say? Was she
I think she said she was going to put hers
in the chat?
Which
She's
I
probably
can't
still
do right
working
now.
on it.
Starting with mine, yeah.
Remove median parking to construct median plaza near park. So that would look.
Well, to me, it's beautiful, but
park.
bring a dining, recreation, whatever, restaurant has to deliver the food to the median park. That may be kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, aesthetically beautiful. I mean, remember, I think Denver downtown has a very wide median plaza and linear park, but it's a very wide street. So, but anyway, I mean, aesthetically, it's nice. Again, it's the trees and stuff. Flowers.
Yes.
And if we're talking aesthetics,
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so aesthetics too, to me.
But the whole experience losing a lot of parking on some of the others, we downgraded it a little for that. So is it a 1 or this would be a big deal though, so maybe it's worth it too.
I don't see downtown parking as a highly significant factor in the overall experience. I mean, it is a factor, but it's not in my judgment, not a weighty factor, particularly when we're looking at aesthetics. So I would, I don't know if that's adjusting all of our criteria for what the downtown experience is, but that's why I would weigh this at 2.
Okay, let's do it at 2. So your angle.
It's that same thing, but taking off all the parking, not just the median parking.
Yeah.
These are going to fall out anyway because of the cost at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
it's not really make it through.
And so is this a 2 also or a 1? Because it's not.
I vote for 2.
You said 2.
I think we have to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, aesthetic wise, it's beautiful.
I know, I think we're gonna have to review a few above for parking, so.
Yeah.
remove all parking. Are these different?
Oh,
So there's
angle
remove-
parking, parallel, remove all parking. So if we're not gonna consider parking, this is a 2 also, because that'd look amazing, you know, with everything.
But at some point, if you're removing all parking, then maybe it does affect that experience.
I think it
Can
does.
we give this one a 1?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Sure.
I'm okay with that.
What is that?
I'm
'Cause
not-
that's a little
I'm not saying
extreme.
I'm not saying we remove parking. I'm not saying.
We're,
In the weighting of things, it's, yeah.
Yeah. We're a bit bipolar in our parking consideration for this. It's hard, it's not easy.
So you're saying you're human.
Yeah. Raised intersections, okay, I would give this one a 2, similar to the raised crosswalks. I think this would be a big deal. It would be
Right.
really nice. And by the way, that's one I would really love to test.
Is there a way
Yeah,
to
the
test
thing-
that?
You could put temporary, like, speed humps, so to speak, that mimic the behavior a little bit. Reduce
I think
this.
it'd be easier to do the median crossings to do interim, doing a
Yeah.
whole intersection.
Intersection.
I don't know if we can,
It's harder to imitate that experience.
right.
Reduce the speed limit on University and Fifth West. I don't know if that has any impact.
That's no impact.
Change the surface material on Center Street.
Yeah, this is,
What is that? Is that like pavers
Bricks,
instead of asphalt or
pavers.
something beautiful?
Something
colored
beautiful.
blocks.
Paved with gold. Add some more dollar signs. So 1 or 2? I'd say 1 because it would look nice, but I don't know if that is a big. Okay, 1. Block traffic from entering Center Street on 1 or West 4 West.
Yeah.
Because it helps those isolated spots, but it's not like a global impact.
Mm. Yeah.
You disagree? Okay,
But
1.5.
is that like?
Oh,
We could do,
uh-huh.
we could do 1.
Okay.
I would say 0, yeah.
Like aesthetically,
Okay. Remove 1 lane of traffic in each direction. So the big question is what you do with that lane. I think 1 lane would just destroy a lot of things. So I'd want to put 0 or -1 on this because getting through in a vehicle would become almost impossible with just 1 lane. And I feel like that would be significant.
Well, if the sidewalk is widened, and if you don't think about the traffic, the aesthetic wise, it can be good because you can have a wider sidewalk. The stores can put tables there, like a Paris experience, Provo, whatever. Yeah,
I think we need to consider
traffic wise, not good.
Is this a 0 then?
I would say 0.
Joy, Jim, are we okay with
I
that?
put 0.
Okay. Realign Center Street to 100 North at 5 West. Back
Center Street 100. Realign? What do you mean realign Center Street?
yeah, what does this,
What is that?
what would
Like
this
you
mean?
don't have to turn left or right to continue on 100 North. It's a
Right, it's
straight movement.
Curve the road up using one of the blocks. We'd have to buy out at least most of a block, if not all of a block somewhere, and actually realign to where it doesn't come straight anymore.
Oh,
To,
Hence $5 plus.
yeah, hence this is extremely expensive because we gotta
Yeah.
buy out.
right. The grocery store needs to go, huh?
At least the parking lot.
Yeah, but
America and so
Yeah.
anyway,
This would be a huge impact.
Aesthetically speaking, however,
yeah, I mean, aesthetics for Center Street, then yeah. One.
somebody say a number. Mitsu,
I give
1?
1.
Okay,
1, because
1.
it's going to so drastically reduce through traffic, it would
Yeah,
definitely
street
be.
traffic there.
that walkable mall we keep talking about, right? So,
I guess I'm figuring out vehicles in my mind now. Basically, we shouldn't separate them. Maybe we just think, does this help a human being's ability to have a good experience? We're not
Yes.
rating their mode. We're just rating their ability to have a good experience.
and I say yes,
Yeah. Okay.
because the people who want to just get through more easily, and people who want to walk can walk more safely.
Yeah. So are you talking about closing or the one above?
I'm talking about the realigning, sorry, still processing
Right.
that one.
Okay.
I'm okay with that one now.
Okay. So completely closing it.
That's aesthetically too, to me.
Have a good experience.
Yeah.
So it's not about vehicles, it's about access. Can I get downtown and have a good experience there?
Right. It's a mall, really a mall. And then street artists will come, singers will come and stuff.
Did Laura comment in chat yet?
I know, we need some help from yours. See
Are
your
you
chat.
Right now.
You scroll up to your right hand.
Yeah, hover on the
Or
green.
not scroll up, but yeah, there you go. Then under more.
Oh,
chat.
it's up here.
There we go.
Great, okay.
What'd she say on
Yeah, let's get some
35?
Lori's.
She said a 1 on the.
I would put 2. I mean, aesthetically good, but it's costly and stuff. But if you think about just aesthetics, it's 2.
But experience, yeah, maybe it could be 2. Okay, we're saying 2
For which one?
for the one we're currently on. But
If you imagine going to Center
But the
Street and the
experience,
ambiance
I
of
feel
Center
like-
Street, if there were absolutely no through traffic, is that a plus or is that a minus?
I don't know,
I mean,
because
8 cars.
activity is a positive feel.
Access is a separate issue.
If there's nothing going on, you don't feel safe or comfortable. And so some element of traffic there does contribute to having a good experience, I think.
So what did you vote for?
I don't know. I on here, I guess.
It's not now, but
Okay.
I don't know. Block traffic from entering and exiting Center Street from 400.
100 west.
Oh,
It's a 2.
I
You drew me a
remember.
picture of this one last time.
Yeah,
That's
block
good.
traffic, but 32 and 36 are similar and we added them. Extending the-
Ah,
32 is a half.
Yeah, I think there's a difference
So
there.
this one is kind of creating a whole sort of plaza at those intersections. That's a pedestrian gathering space and there's no turning. 32, there's still some turning, just not as much. Just right in, right out. I remember this discussion
Yeah.
now, yeah.
So I say 36 is a 2.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I agree. Let's look at Laurie real quick. She did a 0 on 33. That matches a 2 on 31. Okay, we were a 1.
She listed 31 twice. I think it's a 31, 32.
Oh, 32, she did a.
She also didn't
2.
include 30, so we've got 29, 31, 32, 33.
Okay.
So maybe she didn't have an opinion on one of those, I don't know. But her 36 was a -1.
Oh, she did a -1.
Where's this asterisk there?
I have no idea why.
Okay.
Well, and 30, 29.
I still feel good about a 2 on 36.
Yeah, I do too. 29, she did a 0 though. I wish we could hear why she thought 0. -2 at 27, and we did a +2.
Maybe she got off of the calendar, so I don't know.
Maybe so.
I love Laura's opinions.
Dang it, yeah, I wish we could hear. Okay, let's go to the top and quickly think about anything that mentions parking. I'm not seeing anything in this.
Well, it wasn't if it mentioned parking, it was if it affected parking.
Yeah.
Right, if it affected parking, you're right. Slow, sharrows.
And it would be a,
3 rows.
Line 19.
Message, parklets or interim sidewalk widenings. Okay, so this I think we should move this to a 2 probably, because the design would be great. We did a 1 because it looked backward. Yeah, okay, so that's a 2. Parking protected, so same thing with 21, I think that becomes a 2. Median walkway, ramps, and then okay, so it's just those 2, I think we get it correct. And now we're 100% perfectly consistent. Good job, everybody.
Congratulations.
Okay, I don't want us to go too long today. This interim design strategies, do we want to try and rate this quickly? I also want us to have time to look at all of them together, but I think we'll need to do that next meeting. Should we try and do this one real fast? Basically, the question is, could we do?
I bet we can do it really quickly.
Yeah.
This is a more straightforward question.
Yeah.
I can also ask Rob for data on how hard we do these things.
Yeah. So let's
It would
do
be
this
really
one.
good if you could get through this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
just timing wise.
Yep.
We have 1 more month, and then a report that we need to get to.
Yeah.
So-
So let's do it real fast. Basically, if there's obviously a way we could test it, it's a 2 if the test is yes, that would work well and give us good data. A 1 if like, it might work. I don't know that we give minuses here anywhere. Like, I don't know why we would
If
say,
there's no way to test an interim strategy?
or it'd just be a 0, I think.
Well, some of them, yeah, maybe a 0. I don't know that there'd be a negative, but some of them, it would be really hard to test, like
Right.
the chicanes.
So I feel like
If we
those
have
are,
if we keep 2 lanes and we have chicanes, there's really no way to test that.
No sidewalk shots?
so I feel like
Well,
we give,
I guess we can do that if we combine that with go down to 1 lane, right? But we can't do that with 2 lanes because there's nowhere to put them.
so if there isn't a way to do it, we give it a 0. There's no minuses here. Is that, are we, okay.
Ground rules, I love
Yeah,
this.
ground rules. Leading pedestrian interval.
Before we're halfway through the list. Yes, very good, very good.
I like a 1 there. That's an easy thing to implement. Reasonably easy, but not super easy.
That's easy.
I'd say we can do a 1 there. You can put
Temporary
temporary
paint,
marking.
yes.
Yep. Same with sharrows. You can do temporary paint. Flashing, I guess we could do a variable message sign, trailer mounted sign for that, probably. So I'd give a 1 there. Mall signage, I don't think we can really test that without just doing it. 0.
Another thing to consider, and sorry, I should have said this before we got to the 6th one here, but that I'm thinking here, you guys can obviously treat this category how you want, but to me, it's not only can we test it out first, but it's also, if we do this stuff, does it preclude doing something else? Like, do we have to undo that to then do the next one? So does that make sense? Like, if we put in chicanes, then we can't do, or we, I don't know. I don't know if there's one that's.
And in some ways, I feel like that's going to be too hard for us to rate.
Okay.
Right now, like, because we'll have to consider every. I feel like that'll be easier to consider once we're looking at the whole list and it's ordered, rank ordered.
Yeah,
I agree.
I got you.
Okay. Entry arch, probably, someone could probably figure something out, but I think it's
No,
0.
0.
Yeah, I was thinking a 0, yeah.
An
0.
inflatable balloon.
Balloons, yes, balloons.
No,
Got it. Okay, 0. Crosswalks. Oh, so this is the
high
bricks.
visibility.
So this is the nice, fancy, pretty crosswalks, which I don't,
We already have a preview of
I
that.
already have it. So
0.
Yeah. 0.
Thank you.
I disagree with you, I'll tell you, but you're
Yeah.
doing great.
Rumble strips, I think this one is a 2. That's easy to put. There's,
We have
there's
Yep.
products that are easy to-
temporary rumble strips, yeah.
Protected lefts. I'd say this is a 1 because you can just implement that with timing. Improve lighting. Rob, can we put out some sort of temporary light?
I don't think
No.
that's, no.
Okay.
I don't think that's
No.
yeah. Not an aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
Go to Home Depot and
Got a lot of flashlights.
spotlight.
Just get a floodlight.
RFE, I think that's 0. variable message sign, that's the one, we can put those out, like a trailer mounted. Park widths. So this, we could do, you could put barriers in the parking.
Yeah.
Is that a 2? Because we could throw out barriers and put tables there, see what happens.
It would be very easy to do.
Yeah.
Let's do a 2 on that one. Install signals 0. I don't think we can test this one at all, really, putting it inside the parking.
No.
Okay. Hawk 0, we have to put it out. Chicane, we already agreed 0. Median walkway, I think we know that's 0 from our last.
You just follow the patterns that are already there.
Yeah.
Well, the one caveat that I do on that one, I'm trying to think how hard it would be. I mean, there's not I wouldn't make it a 2, but we could do a, just with panels. I mean, we could give a path around trees. The parts where the reason why there is no walkway, right? It would take out some of the parking stalls, but we could do something where people try around in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, give that a 1 then.
The council looked into this, and Parks had also said that one of the problems was tree roots coming through,
Yeah.
whatever you do put there.
We had a last meeting, we went over how impossible it will be, but I like that we could maybe test it. Raised crosswalks, I would say a 1 because I think a sort of rumble strip would kind of mimic this, not perfectly, but it would mimic it. So I think this could be a 2 also. We could block off all the parking, put out tables, street performers. Sorry guys, I'm going fast. Stop. I'm not trying to railroad anything. I just want to go fast.
17, I think this would be a
We could temporary paint some barriers. I think we could, yeah.
So this is
2?
1 and 2.
Yeah. So we could do this. This one would be a lot more work, I guess, but for 1 block. So I think that's a 2 also. And remember, this is weighted only 10% in our total score, so we're not.
What's your difference in your mind between a 1 and a 2?
2 is like, there's an obvious way to do it, and it would very closely mimic reality.
Okay.
1 is like, yeah, we can do it. It's not a perfect match. I don't know. That's what I'm doing.
And 0 is we can't really do it.
So raise, I would say a 1 because the rumble strips would kind of mimic this again, but not as well as like the raised cross, or maybe a half on this one.
This isn't a whole intersection.
Yeah. Reduce, those are state roads, 0.
Again, that was a suggestion, but I don't see us actually ever.
Right.
You not ever agreed to that, so.
Surface material.
I don't see that.
I don't know, is there a way we can test that?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Block traffic.
The only thing that I could think of on surface material, and we wouldn't do it on the whole thing, is we could, I mean, just to see what does doing something on the entire street do, is to do some temporary art. I mean, so it wouldn't be, that's the material that we're using, but more of what happens when we have something more than just black.
So we'd give that a half maybe, because it.
There's a lot of work.
Blocking traffic. Okay, I'd say this is a 2 because we could. Oh, right in, right out.
Mhm.
A 1. That's going to be harder to mimic. Anyone disagree? Whereas 36, the similar one, I think would be easier because you just block that. So I'd give 36 a 2 because it's easier to block the whole side street, whereas it's harder to partially block it and mimic reality. 32, 36, everyone okay with those?
Yep.
Two? Okay. Remove 1 lane. And the cow.
We could test it out. That is one that I talked about. We might want to test out that the city might want to test out with UDOT.
I guess,
So we can do it.
I think it'd be hard, but I think that's a 1 because it'd be tough to mimic true reality, but we could do it. We can test
That's, yeah.
0.
We could test this one though.
Actually, there's a festival or something, and I remember they closed the entire stretch.
1 or 2.
I think we can go 2 here.
Yeah.
Right. Awesome, we made it. Good job, everybody. So.
Buy you lunch next time.
Yeah. So, could we, could we send this to the group and everyone just maybe do a second look over the next couple days? And if we feel strongly about anything, we can maybe email and adjust anything, and then we could send it to Downtown Provo to get their thoughts and invite them to come next month. Are we good there? And then I don't think you're here, but earlier yet, but next month we'll have Downtown Provo talk, we'll finalize our scores, and then that gives you all time to prepare a report for the council for October. Right, okay.
Rob, is there anything that has been omitted from that list that you've heard is a suggestion for Center Street? Or any glaring omissions from our list?
Any glaring ones? For sure not.
Okay. Okay.
Might have somebody come up with something, there might be, but we were pretty going through emails and trying to figure out what had anybody ever suggested here.
And we can always add it for this exercise maybe next year.
Yeah, some things.
And hopefully the list will be shorter.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and adjourn then. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't
No,
do
I
any of it.
I screwed up.
Mine has to keep. I
Yeah.
didn't want to block everyone.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Robert.
Thanks. You guys did the hard work.
Sometimes it's hard to be decisive about little details.
Thanks, enjoy it. I don't know if y'all remember where Gary is retiring.
What? Oh, wait, at the end of this month?
Yeah.
In
Gary McGinn, Gary.
10 days.
Quick.
What? So then what happens?
Uh,